Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever this happens to be arriving in your reality of now. It's a cold Monday morning down here, and I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw a friend acquaintance of mine make a post that it caused me to laugh a lot. See if I can. To my Alaskan relatives, your weather's down on my front yard, drunk again. I need you to come and get it. I might have butchered that a little, but paraphrase, that's what she said, and it cracked me up. There is like a cold snap. I'm in Virginia, and it's 25 degrees right now. And my house, I'm still getting to know it, and it's getting to know me. The heat isn't working. So all of our heat is from a plug-in source, which is like a very inefficient way to heat. I have been looking at these, it's an in-ground floor heating method, a Korean method. And it's a wood stove that keeps the ground warm and the subfloor, and you build a fire and it uses the smoke to heat up the house. And I'm like, that's brilliant. Of course, I'm not exactly a masonry who can create it, but looking at the videos has helped hatching ideas. There's always more efficient ways. When I was in Alaska, one of the things that surprised me that wasn't more common, a lot of Alaska's food is shipped in or it's not locally produced. And if you dig it down and create a garden space past the freeze line, then you can create a microclimate that grows food year-round. Snow can actually be insulating. Although there was a place in Fairbanks, a place in Palmer, and then another place that had done that. So I'd heard of 3 people that created it, and it does work, and yet mass population gets fed from what's either flown in, driven in, or shipped in. And it's not all that fresh by then. Down here, I'm still googly-eyed over the price of fresh produce. It's like, wow, strawberries, grapes, did you see the prices? And they're fresh. It's been watering my soul. Good food. The best food is usually picked up at farmer's market. But what would be even better than that is if I can open up the door to my bedroom and have green edible stuff greeting me and growing. I had blossoms. I have a lime tree, and I had blossoms. I haven't had limes yet. I'm assuming it probably needs a bigger pot, and the grow light is hooked up to the fan, and so it's quite far from the plants. I was surprised to, in December, have flowers on the lime tree. So there is potential. And the thing that I like, I've been slowly switching out all the lights in the bathroom, all the lights to be grow lights. The vitamin D is actually a hormone, and I felt deprived of sunlight in Alaska, and that's something I haven't been able to feel in balance and harmony with just yet. In Alaska, everything was grow light, and that was important. Here, we have sunlight, but when I'm looking at my kids, our hair turns reddish and blonde with sun. Well, mine's gray, but theirs would turn, and mine used to turn reddish and blonde when it was exposed to sunlight. I see their dark hair, and I could tell sun has not graced them nearly as much as it could have and would benefit them. So things like grow lights in the bathroom where you take your showers and your baths is a healthy habit. Seeing the things in, I call it the heart center. It's a odd space in my house that is an entryway into other places, and it's in a interesting round shape. So I painted it green. I added lime, the mineral, to the paint itself, which changes the pH of my walls to be unwelcoming to anything with an exoskeleton. So cockroaches be gone. And they have these, they're smaller. In Okinawa, Japan, there are these huge cockroaches that would lift their back hindquarters and hiss at you. And you're like, okay, take the bread. And you couldn't leave anything on your counter. Here, not quite that bad. And thankfully, I had a company coming in taking care of the bug issue. And I was talking to the neighbors, and this is a normal thing. And I don't feel it to be normal. So having my walls themselves toxic for that is good for me. It will change the pH of the soil around me. So while I'm putting lime directly underneath the house and mixed into the paint on my walls, I'm not putting it in my soil. And anyhow, so I have these dreams, goals, aspirations, and belief patterns that I feel would work better. I want the home to breathe in harmony with its occupants. I personally don't like square walls. I'm not a fan of sheetrock. If gypsumite, the older sheetrock, that I am a fan of, other than when I'm trying to drill into it because it takes like a diamond to cut it. But mold doesn't grow as rapidly. Sheetrock, a little bit of moisture and mold shoots up. And that empty space behind the wall, what's the purpose of that? So the reading that I did in Alaska, the dreams of a hobbit hole that is enriching the environment that creates abundant life in balance and harmony. So there's certain bugs okay on my plants. There's certain things not okay. And finding that mixture. The grow lights being placed around enough that anywhere there's light, grow light is happening, is a habit that I'm carrying forth. It worked for me well in Alaska, and while I understand, because the sun here, I know it's technically not a different sun, but it so feels different. Here, it rises and sets on schedule. In Alaska, it would linger and take its time coming up and coming down. I'd drive my daughter to school in dark, and I'd pick her up after school, and the sun is setting. It's like very short, itty-bitty little day. And here, doesn't work that way. The sun comes up and the sun goes down, and the population and the driving pattern shifts and moves to it. People pay attention to things like that, although it's a part of an internal rhythm that most aren't conscious of. So, bringing that stuff together is part of my adventure of now. Along with that is learning how to reinforce wood, stop things leaking. I'm not an electrician yet. I'm not a plumber yet. I'm not a carpenter yet. If this was a physical body, I would know what to do. Being a physical structure, I can see where it hurts, and I'm still learning how to add adequate support and structure while benefiting the host inside. That sings in harmony with where I'm at. I've got long-term plans of where I wish to migrate to. I've got short-term plans of what's necessary in the now. And then I have blank pages to open up and write in. That feels like a beautiful blessing. Some of it a little bit stressy. Having things not work that I don't have capacity to know how to fix, I don't like that. If it was a locked shoulder, my heart center, and I could see where it's not yet flowing. If I could bust up the floor and put in a heating system, a wood burning heating system, and solar panels on the roof, and all these things that some of them are big things that are not affordable in the now and not doable because of lack of skill and knowledge. But looking at videos, researching it, coming across my books from Alaska that explain how to create and make and build, it helps me feel stable in the chaos that I don't know what to do or how to do. There are things that we come across that we're inexperienced. Abraham Hicks makes and made references about how when a baby starts learning to walk, when it falls down, you don't laugh and say, "Hey, you dummy." It's learning to walk and you celebrate its walking. With ourselves, we need the same compassion. If you haven't been exposed to it, if you haven't come across it, if it is new, if you don't have the information, if the knowledge isn't at your fingertips, why would you expect yourself to know how or what to do? It's treating yourself with compassion is important in your own reality. If you do it to yourself, it's easier to do it to others. You look at behavior external of you and it's not what you wish, or it's not what you would have done, or it's not what you prefer, or did they really do that? That's what you did? That was the choice you made? That ties up your mental prowess. It puts your time, energy, and effort into behavior that is irrelevant to you. You're in charge of your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. You have control over your actions, your choices, your behavior. That's all within you. And turning to external things and say, well, look what made me a victim, or look what made me a predator, or look what this made me a that, is BS. I made a complaint to my eldest child, and she stopped me dead in my tracks when she's like, "I've heard you say that before." And I'm like, you're right. I've bitched about it before. It's time to stop. You're in charge of you. And that's a beautiful thing. Source gives you choice. That is freedom, and it honors who and what you are. That is not a place of disempowerment. That is a place of honor. And as we go through reality, there are things I will not duplicate. There are things that I will do again. There are things from my past that I'm like, come on. And there are things in my future I'm like, yes, you too. And then there's things that I'm not aware of and haven't had exposure or information to go on. And that stuff belongs in the chaos field, unattached to worry or stress from me. The universe is bigger than you. Angels can do things you cannot. The ancestors with you, they have your highest, greatest good always at their heart center. There are powers at play that can take the ease off your neck, that can unburden your shoulders, can drop that 10 of wands. can stop that Ten of Swords. And now I'm tarot talking, but there are certain energies that once you recognize it, I come across someone with lies and deceit. And it's, oh, I've seen that before. If you can't speak freely, you have something to hide? Okay. Well, you take your things over there, and I'll take my things over here. There we go. It's not for me to worry, not for me to stress. I'll call him Dark Waters. I came across someone who was permitted into my home, and they were helping me with something that failed in the house. And I had to go and get a part. And the part wasn't able to be found locally. And the part that I ordered wasn't the correct part. And then we went to another place that might have the part. And I'm standing next to Dark Waters, his nickname. And I'm looking at, I was like, I want it like this. And he looks up at me, he's like, you could lower your standards. It made me laugh because it was a passive suggestion, not relevant to the plumbing I was looking at. And what I appreciate about that is usually instead of being open and honest of, you can lower your standards and then date me. Usually what happens is people attempt to cause you to feel worse about yourself, or cause confusion or chaos in your reality, or hinder things that could help you. They withhold things that would benefit you and put things that would slow you down. That behavior is the attempt of, you can lower your standards. And that's not necessary. What's for you will be in your reality. And the universe is in charge of things that you and I are not. They hear conversations you and I don't. They're aware of intentions, frequencies, and realities wish to be brought into fruition that you and I are not. So you give it up to the universe. You give it up to God. You give it up to Source. You give it up to the powers greater than you and I without disempowering yourself. Those that celebrate, encourage, uplift, support, care about your reality, that kind of energy feels good to be around. That is an internal and external reality. I don't have a religious belief pattern that I follow. I did go through a stage where I read the Bible twice. I had Bible study groups when I was in high school. I looked deeply into the Mormon religion. I like the way they clan, protect, and support. There's things about the religious practices that follow the morals of my heart that I like. And some of the best people I've come across, authentic, caring, kind, real, realistic, follow through of actions, just the best people I've come across, that's the religious practice they follow. So, and there's Taoism would probably be the closest to my religious label if I labeled myself with one, and I don't. But with the Taoist, it's internal to external, has above, so below. In my Alaskan hobbit hole, you would cross a street, Venus and cross. And physically in Alaska, in my neonate chart, the Venus energy was strong. And I would feel energy, and it spun different than I was told energy spins. And I'm like, but here where I'm physically located is my Jupiter energy. Well, that happens to be a Thursday. It's connected to all sorts of things. But on a Thursday, I and old text, blah, 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 Thursdays and Jupiter are connected. And physically, this spot is connected to my Jupiter energy. Jupiter is expansion. In my realm of belief, I also believe that where Jupiter is physically located in our reality, it stops the asteroids from hitting Earth. And I believe that is on purpose, that it purposely pulls in the debris field and protects Earth. It is that protection allows expansion. I came across a online psychic healer, and to me, your heart has psychic capacity. Everybody's. And your ability to utilize that energy depends on the calmness of your heart center and the debris field. I spoke in an earlier video about if you have prejudged opinions of who's a this and a that due to label or class, creed, culture, yada, 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 you will miss out. And I say that when I was 22, I moved to Okinawa, Japan, and I learned to detest certain things about America that I didn't even know that we were entitled and rich with. Not in a good way, in a silver spoon, entitlement rich. And there are parts of racism that I was letting go of that I didn't know that I carried. In Nevada, I would hear people speak a language not English, and it always like, are you talking about me? Like, it's America, speak English. That was ripped out of my hands, thankfully, in Okinawa, Japan, because in Okinawa, Japan, I fumbled through their language and they looked at me with kindness, compassion, and appreciated I was trying to learn it. Way better approach than I had in Nevada. And seeing that mirrored back, this is the way I should be. That is not correct for me. It was a growth cycle, and I needed it. And I also realized different countries, different cultures had a reality system. Some of it works well, some of it not so well. Some of it would work well for me, some of it not so well. But they had reality that I didn't have a perception of until I was exposed to it. And that exposure brought more to me in my own reality. I think everyone should have the gift of being exposed overseas in healthy, safe environments, not in war. Some people, the only time they went overseas was to engage in killing others. And that, my father, that was him. And he went to Alaska to heal. The universe, synchronicities, and alignment had me echoing his footsteps, which now I giggle and laugh at, because there was a time where I thought I'd join the military and I was going to, follow my father's footsteps, and I didn't quite that way. But I physically arrived the locations, and I was assigned to go exactly where I needed to be for who I am and for what I do. I work with my ancestors with relish. I work with the energy fields, and in some aspects I don't label it or classify it because I feel that would be an injury to it, because I don't have the wisdom awareness to say, oh, well, when energy was spinning backwards, I didn't know, or I didn't have connection to the obvious signs headed to my house, to my neonate birth chart. I didn't know that your birth chart mattered until a heart connection said, well, look it up, here's, and I can't remember what website he directed me to, but he's like, how do you not know this? Here. When I came across Abraham Hicks, it felt like that. I was talking about vortexes and never been exposed to her or what she does. And when I heard her, and I was like, everybody should listen to this. And I love the fact they've allowed people to take their data information and channeled information, and without changing what it says, promote it and create videos of it. I find that generous in spirit, mind, body, and soul. They have made funds and have created a comfortable reality for themselves with what they do. And they're not challenged by others also creating funds from what they do. In a perfect world, they would probably get a portion of it, and it would, can I share this? And with permission sharing. And that didn't happen. They chose to allow the behavior of those mimicking and copying to take place. And because of that, you, I, and millions of others have access to Abraham Hicks. And that is a godsend for all of us. You are in charge of your emotions. And if you want to feel miserable, okay, go. If you want to feel stressed, okay, go. If you want to feel happy, there's an avenue. And I love that. Coming across her talk about vortex, when I was speaking about creating vortex and hadn't come across her, let me become more connected to my crown chakra, my awareness, my intuitive guidance, my nudges and feelings of this is and that's. You're responsible for yourself, not other people's happiness, not external thises, not external that's. How you maneuver through the world will create the karmic soup you swim in. And when I say karma, I love karma. Sometimes it's in your face. Sometimes it's subtle, but it's always encouraging you the direction of growth you wish to go. And we can make it light and fluffy and rosy and call it Dharma. And that lets you know, oh yeah, this feels good to ride this. Regardless of our perception of good or bad, it is what it is, and it's what you have to work with in your now. And that means love it. Whether it is a cancer, you love it. Sickness, you love it. Death, you love it. And you love yourself. You love who you are, what you are, where you are. You are accountable for your own motives, your own behavior. Loving yourself, you are not going to harm others purposefully and then feel good about it and pat yourself on the back. Look what I did. I made that person cry. They think of me all the time. Like that ick. Yuck, 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 yuck. When you aren't hurt, you have no reflex to hurt others. And that you are in charge of. Yes, people have hurt you in the past. So you take the lessons that work for you and you bring that into your now. And you don't swim there. That is deeply important. We can victimize ourselves. And that empowers and I think puts energy into places and things that are already overpowered and incorrect and toxic to begin with. You don't put your energy there. Oh, everything turned to orange. That was interesting. I'm going to pull a card. Sometimes colors flash and numbers and things like that. 28. Oh, goodness, we have been chattering. Authenticity. The energy of authenticity supports our choice to be genuine and truthful in all aspects of our life, with others as well as with ourselves. I do my best not to take lies personally. To lie to me, you have to lie to yourself first. Oftentimes, lies, if you know somebody cares for you and you choose to treat them unkind ways, that's going to create a barrier between their emotions and you. If you harm, hurt, create pain, that dark waters comment, you could lower your standard. I found that sweet because it was honest. Usually it's a more dishonest approach. Oh, I see. You wish to mimic my dress style and my hair and then gossip about me and spread lies. So you admire me and simultaneously create a hate environment. Okay, you enjoy your rockin' new hairstyle. It's allow people to create their own reality of self. Encourage, uplift, and support to the best of your ability, and be compassionate. There is her name is, her YouTube channel is Kate's Regretless Life. And she has a tarot dog channel. I love the way that she speaks. And when you follow, she mentions she educated herself to be able to speak. And she'll talk about, this isn't my normal personality profile, but this is a part of me that I've trained so that I could do this. And I am a storyteller. And when she talks, everything is into it. And she's protective over her characters and she holds them accountable and she tells stories. And it's like, it's the best time to listen to it, eat popcorn, and go about your reality. She lightens the heart. And I thoroughly enjoy, and I believe she cast into collective consciousness, pulls those fragments, and then creates a story that works. And she says it in a way that she's comfortable with. She has no desire. Well, sometimes she says, I wish I was psychic. I'm not. And that cracks me because be careful what you wish for, hon. But more so than that, she is healing collective energy in a way that supports her morals, belief, and growth. And she also shares things like she was being exposed to bullying and lies, deceit, and unkind things on her personal channel. And she's like, delete, 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 delete. Okay, now that this is coming, I'm going to reward those who support me. And I'm like, that is a beautiful thing to embody, teach, and show. Go, Kate, go, Kate, go. I had stalking and bullying happening to me. And also in my reality, I spoke to a neurologist and he said the best thing to do for a closed head injury is to meditate. And I'm like, well, that happens to be one of my favorite things. So I'm out. And I just sat and did what I do and connected to what I am. And I did me. And learn not to be apologetic for people being angry about that. I'm not in charge of your happy. I'm in charge of my happy. And my happy can help sparkle yours, can help inspire yours, can help with this, can help with that. But that is icing on cake. I'm in charge of me. The responsibility to self is key for your own reality. If you wake up and you immediately start thinking negative things, you will have a negative day because that's what you brought to your reality. You are powerful and strong. The face in the mirror is the strongest thing you'll ever come across. And that's because you got the backing of your angels, your ancestors, and all of your past lives staring at you through that mirror. You are accountable for you. Energy is permission-based. If you don't feel there is hope, if you don't feel that there is a good thing left, if you've got mommy and daddy issues so strong you can't see the person across from you without cross-tainting that with your own issue, you will swim in a lower emotional state than your natural, than your normal. When you admire, worship, if you break down the root origins, it means to work for. The things that you worship, work for, are where you put your solar plexus energy. Your second and third chakra system goes to that. Our American mindset has a work till you die. My father's mindset was a work until you die. Not all Americans, I'm just speaking for my reality of life. That was normal. And I've come across a lot of people that they put who they are by their occupation or by their family status. And you are neither of those. You bless both by your presence. but you are neither of those. Our real, authentic self is happy and joyful. I have not spent a reality of life constantly happy and joyful. I have spent a reality of life figuring out how to get trauma out of the body. When I lost my son, I came across another place that studied traditional Chinese medicine. And when I learned about the lungs and where the lungs are connected and what you can do to open the lungs, and I thought of his death of acute pneumonia, and if I would have known then what I know now, could I have? That was an unkind thing to do to myself. That was also a sign of mourning and grief still happening. I believe grief to be love that doesn't know where to go. And parts of me that shut down, I've always had a direct line to God. I communicate with God. Everybody does. I wasn't aware that everybody wasn't aware of that. Of course. When I lost him, I put God on mute, and I did it on purpose. And then I physically fell into a terminal illness where I was going to die. Like I said, when I talk about my body creating apoptosis to find alignment, that was necessary. And the parts of my body out of alignment, if I just spoke in a spiritual aspect, it was the spiritual general of my body was in confusion. That is an unkind place to be in your own reality. But there were benefits from that. When I was bedridden, I read a lot of books. Those books that I mentioned that talk about the home and the house and the way that it breathes and the environment and the do-it-yourself this and the blah, 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 that's and all that. That is in that room right behind this wall. And eventually there'll be a library. In my now, when I read, it can set migraines. Part of the reason I read these little bits is because I need to practice reading out loud, and having it not cause stagnation and pain in my head. The Subaru Kiss took away 20% gray brain matter. That also means I don't surface so well. I don't weather talk. I'm all in. And I'm not as well edited as I used to be. Which I appreciate for myself, but I also realize I don't have to be a bull in a china shop. I can learn to speak with more kindness. So that way the things that I say have healing effect, or at the very least, healing intent behind the words spoken. That matters to me. Still, that getting trauma out of the body. Our reality is not accidental. That does not mean that things that cause harm are allowed in your reality at your table. It's important to know that it's okay to feel happy. When I experienced the loss of my son, when I felt happy, I felt guilty for it. Like, how can I be happy if he's not here? Maybe that means someone once said to me, well, at least he wasn't yours. And that was gross. They were saying it with intention of healing and a helpful perspective from what their view was. It was unwelcome and untrue. He's as much as mine as the mother who birthed and gifted him life. I love him in a way she could never. She loves him in a way I could never, and both are appropriate and belong to him, not to me or her. Children are a gift, and they are uniquely themselves. The way that they feel loved needs to come and should come from many directions, many avenues. You should feel safe in your environment. You should feel the lights flickered. You should feel, when you feel safe in your environment, you are exuberant, you are open, you express, you can't wait to tell, you don't have to edit what you say, you're not walking on eggshells. That's core. When I was in the process of fostering, I was also in the process of taking courses and classes of how to help things that are hurt and injured. And one of my children was frightened of women, pets, and stuffed animals. And that was unfortunate because I was the main source of comfort and food she had, and I'm a woman. I would sit next to her. I wouldn't look at her directly. I would sit next to her and I'd pass food her direction. I wouldn't give it to her. That felt threatening to her. I'd hand her things and she would and cry. She was brought to me. The last foster homes she had been in, she wouldn't stop crying. So they just brought her back to OCS. And then OCS gave me a call and they're like, hey, we got a kid and she needs a place. So sight unseen, I thought I was getting a baby. What I got was a young toddler and a trash bag of things that didn't fit. Even her name wasn't correct until later. I called her Koala Bear. She learned to cling and she would hold me and look around. And it got to the point I could buckle into her car seat and she'd look up and smile at me. She learned to be safe, but it required me moderating how I interacted with her. Her needs were more important because of her level of fear. I am an adult who can feed myself. She is a child who had fear when I brought her food. So I sat next to her. And then my children would feed her directly, and that was safe. The animals were kept outside away from her. The stuffed animals poofed. Leaving my home, she was grabbed by someone she was very frightened of and put into a car without a car seat. And I had no choice but to let her go because I was the Band-Aid. I was the foster. I was just there for a moment. And that felt ugly to me when I knew that she went back into a situation unkind for her. And I had no control or no say. And then my son came. Our exposure and how we integrate with things, that is intimately precious. How you view it, how you see it. If I would have viewed her being returned to her place of birth as a victory, I would have felt better about my fostering. Because I viewed her return to not be good for her reality and then felt guilt for teaching her to trust and then putting her into an unsafe environment, that helped me decide not to foster in the long run. I get that I'm the Band-Aid, but I'm so much more than a Band-Aid. And teaching something innocent to trust and then seeing that violated, it didn't feel good or right. And when it comes to our foster system, there's a lot of things not good and not right. There's a lot of things unkind and unfair. There, in our reality of life, there's lots of gross. How we integrate with it and what we produce out of it is key to creating a reality that you feel good in. I feel good about my choices. There's very few things I have regret and remorse over. There's a few things that once I learned it, I did kind of wish I didn't come across it. That tells me there's injured parts of self still to harmonize and work with. I am not a completed, finished package. And that is also a blessing. Sometimes it feels like a curse. The swimming in poor me, look at the ouches, look at the betrayals, look at the losses, look at the death, look at the destruction, look at the blah, 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 blah. does not serve mine now, nor does it serve me. Taking the blesses and bringing that forth does have serving. Looking at the way that Kate runs her channel helped inspire me. There are certain things I wasn't willing to start until I could do something regular. The once a week, now February and April are set, and now I'm working on May videos. Once a week, there will be a video. That helps me move forward. I'm getting enough focus here, and I still have energy, time on my schedule to focus on the things that are more important. The leaks in one of my roofs, more important than this video in my now, for me personally. Prioritizing your needs is necessary. My ability to give and be generous, I love about myself. And I tease the universe. I was like, mirror and match my generosity. Good luck with that. The universe and I have, I was having a conversation with a acquaintance friend, old classmate of mine. And we were talking about the things in our reality that are debris fields. And I could do this and I'm not. I'm aware of it. This would increase my reality, quality of life, but I'm not ready. And this did yada yada, those kind of things. And we are highlighting for ourselves what flow patterns were working and what was not. At the same time, my eldest daughter, her day of birth is coming up soon. And she was scheduling us to go somewhere. And my stipulation was, I want a swimming pool. With a swimming pool, my youngest daughter is going to enjoy herself the most that way. And so while I'm talking to him about blocks in life, she was booking a R&B at a place called Kill Devil's Hills. And I was like, that was perfect. And then there was also another reference to Virginia and daring and the synchronistic, birds are singing, the synchronistic moment of everything aligning and in alignment was lining up in ways that I could physically see. I could feel the universe encouraging my motivation towards growth, strength, prosperity, abundance, kindness, good memories. We will look back on the trip that we have yet to take, and they'll be good memories. And that feels good to prepare for. It's important to have things in your reality you look forward to. I've got a list of things that I need to do, should do, am doing, going to do. And then I have a list of things that I'm looking forward to that I want to do. Trying to focus my energy more towards the things that I want is a necessary need because of my generous heart. Wants matter. Even the little ones. You want ice cream and chocolate cake, you get your ice cream and you get your chocolate cake and you celebrate every bite. You want to mindlessly eat and cause obesity in your reality and have your knees hurt because of it? That's not the same. It feels different. After you eat, you feel sick and you wish you didn't do it. Part of it is the emotionality you put into what you do. Part of it is what is strengthening. Killing Devil's Hills. My son once told me that when I put my feet to the ground, the devil goes, oh shit, she's up again. It made me laugh because it's absolutely true. I am an unstoppable force. So are you. So are your lovers, your children, your parents. We are here, and it is a good thing. Earth prepares and has prepared for us. The very plants take what we exhale and relish it. Our reality, you have a right to live it and to feel it, to be thoroughly enmeshed into it. And if you're not enmeshed in your own reality, you'll swim in somebody else's. That has time and place, especially if you know why you're swimming in someone else's. There are energy patterns I've been in the past while I have been focused on what I focus on, and I had helped those around me because I could. Certain clients I accepted at less than what I was charging because they could afford that number, and I was dilating myself on information perceived with the way the energy spins backwards. I was getting trauma out of the body and focusing on that. I believe that can be done with light language, getting trauma out of the body, opening up gifts from our higher self. If I have the ability to love myself and love you, maybe I can love you in ways you don't love yourself. Maybe you can love me in ways I don't know how to love myself. I believe the universe to be God's unconditional love, not man-made God, but source itself. What put Jupiter in space so that way Earth is protected kind of God. The big one. When I say God, it is more of our innate personal feeling of. If you've got a good experience, bad experience, if you went through this church, that religion, and what you've decided and what you've read and who, most hot words, God, cancer, death, loss. There are certain hot words that will say it and you will perceive it from your exposure and experience of it. I'm making reference to what was there before the Big Bang and what is that plan at play, which is bigger than you and I and older than you and I think those on Earth will eventually create life on another planet, and that system will be created to a place of harmony. Like I'm trying to create my house to be. I'm creating my house to be a place that those inside are enriched. There's food and clean oxygen. The temperature is climate controlled, and the heat is both active and passive. There are things I want my house to be. It's not. But I know it can be over time with energy and effort and focus. And that's going to require learning and education on my part. As long as I'm willing, my part, the house will come into shape on its part. As above, so below, internal to external. As I work on my physical house and I create my videos and I express who I am, the ways that my beliefs, my pattern, my this, my that, the patterns that work for you, you can adopt and take, and the patterns that don't work for you, you can say, not mine, and that's okay. That creates space for me to grow and heal, and space for you to grow and heal. The ways that I can love are unique to me, and they have been tested through time and shown to be true to me. I had holy cow, this is now an hour. I had a synchronistic alignment. The day that we physically slept in this house was my late husband's day of birth. And that felt like a hug from him. The previous owner ran a daycare, and one of the children Her name was June. Written in concrete on my driveway is June. That's the month that he crossed over and became a loving force internal to external, as opposed from external to internal. That is just as precious. Some of it is new for me. Lots of it is old for me. When he was living, he would talk, and I could tell when he was channeling his higher self, and what he said, I said, okay. There was no argument on my side. He said it, I said, okay. And then there were times where my husband Michael and I would chat and talk, and we would speak, inspire, encourage, and create a growth pattern between us. He's always been my best friend. And those parts get rekindled as I connect to his connection to conscious awareness in the now. It was no accident that our first night here was his day of birth. But when the house sale didn't go through, and last minute there was a breach of contract, and the buyer's this, and I had to that, and blah, 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 blah. Those could have been perceived as stress. At the time, I was like, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, kids, we got this. We'll figure something out. And that, in hindsight, was kind of empowering. It could have been a very stressful situation, and it was uncomfortable, not the way I wanted it to go, but I made it work. And the hindsight of it was, thank you, Michael. That felt wonderful. We don't always know why things happen, and we don't have to know. It's not for our brain to cognitively figure it out. Our brain is an incredible, wonderful tool, but it is a tool. It is not who and what we are. Our heart is closer to who and what we are, and that is also a tool connected to the intelligence and the bacterium level on our physical gut. We are connected to our body and our instincts. When we tell people from a very young age, don't follow your instincts, when they are an adult, they can be a little confused. We teach people not to follow their instincts by putting them down, by trying to lower their self-esteem, hurting, harming. That Dark Waters comment of, you could lower your expectations. I ended up not lowering my expectations, but in the end, I got a better water system, and my bath became even better. So it did work out in ways that are okay. Life, you woke up breathing. Thank the air you breathe. Hug a tree. Walk on sand. Spend time in the ocean. Physically watch the sun set. Physically watch the sun rise. Those activities strengthen your vessel. Watching the sun rise and set helps your third eye, decalcifies, and it creates melatonin on the brain. Melatonin requires 4 hours of darkness. Looking at your lights, looking at your phone, staring at your TVs, blinking lights, the things that make it so you're not in pitch blackness, they hinder your sleep pattern. When you're unaware of that and you're running in a constant state of fog, it's hard to be connected to your emotionality. A lot of people are triggered in running. Hurt things. That doesn't always have to be true when you're aware of why you're hurt or how you're hurt. My closed head trauma and the neurologist saying meditation is best to heal this, and me saying, okay. There is a song, I heard it on my radio, and it was one of those, Alexis, play that again. Sorry, I had to whisper her name. She's listening. But I asked her, play that again, and it is the song called Snap. And the day, month that I watched my loved ones cross over was mentioned in that song. And the way she talked about loss and how you're always with me. That moment, it's with me. I cried and cried. I cried big, ugly, sobby tears kind of crying. And then I took a really long bath and I grub-bubbed my favorite smoothies and a really good salad and lit candles and soaked in Epsom salt. And then I cried happier tears and listened to the song again. I hadn't heard it before, had no connection to the artist, but the universe has connection with me. And something happened to that artist on that day that had heart-centered meaning for her. Her creating that song was so healing for me. And the time of it, I was having a silent conversation with my late husband in my head. I was looking, I've got a picture he painted of a black swan. And from my bed, I can look over and see that painting. And I was looking at it and I was thinking of the very things in that song. And then the song played. I knew very much that was a physical hug from him. Your reality is sacred and precious. How you feel matters. Those that love you, there are ways when he was living, I could tell that he loved me. And there are ways that I didn't feel his connection of care and compassion and prioritization. After he was gone, he's making sure that I see it and feel it and know it. I appreciate that, by the way. But that's filling in the holes that we had in our way of relating as people together. That filling in those blank spots definitely helped me settle into death being a blessing also. I'm looking forward to the day that I cross over. I will be hugging my family so strong, so tight, and they are waiting with bated breath for me. That's a beautiful place. I don't fear death. I did have a fear after I lost my son of unkind things happening and my children dying. Then I witnessed my daughter die. I no longer have that fear. I have more faith in the universe and more connection. Should they cross over, I'll be there on the other side greeting them, even as I'm living in my now, and I know that. Michael knew that. I am a very strong shaman. I have always been a certain way. And while I did take the structured classes that now I can label and say, I am a shaman, I've got a tribe that backs me, I've got stones that honor what I do, I have advanced studies and blah, 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 blahs, I can technically say that, but in all honesty, I've always been a certain way. And meeting other people who follow that belief practice, I met other souls that mirrored and reflected who and what I do, and habits that I had that I hadn't thought of. Oftentimes in Alaska, I meditate and frequently. And my son came up with a brilliant idea to leave stones. So I ordered these semi-precious stones and I meditated with them. And then when I would travel, I would leave a stone. That felt and feels good, and I can very much feel the energy I was connected to in Alaska is here with me in my now. The aurora will follow me everywhere I go. One day, I would like to see it everywhere. It's not in Virginia yet. It hit California. It's hitting the lower 48. I will eventually see aurora borealis here. That's going to happen. Our connection to the cosmos is sacred. My ancestral connection, usually in my past hats of self, I'd connect to people in my physical reality and I could see their ancestors from Earth. And when I see, making a reference of I could sense, feel, and had impressions of their ancestors from Earth, and I could feel messages and images and that. And I could feel that from my galactic family. In my walk of reality, I'm physically located where my father's ancestors were physically born. And one of my on the bucket list trips, I'm going to go to a town named after my ancestors. I'm physically located in a place that one of my ancestors had a huge hand in creating and the making of. That makes my journey of life interesting, curious, fun, inviting, and exploring all in my own backyard. That's a blessing. Okay, we are well over an hour. I have no idea how long this is going to take to upload. I will post it today. For those other Mondays, when I'll put things on my Monday. I was born on a Monday. Mondays are connected to the moon, the subconscious. In Alaska, I went through a transcendental knowledge class. And when I was asked to join this class, I had said, I don't need a guru. I didn't use the word guru, but it's like, I don't need that. Why are you inviting me? And the person's response encouraged me to go. Our subconscious has a lot of impact on what we're drawn to, the foods we eat, the friends we hang out with, the family we adopt, the lovers we take, the ways that we encourage our children. I believe that meditation helps you to be ready to be ready. It prepares you. Connecting subconscious energy to conscious awareness is part of the reason of this channel that I'm creating and have created. Who you are, no one else can be. I had a person who shared time and space at a place that I would go. Tell people that I wanted to be her. And I found it somewhat insulting because she said that right after I witnessed my best friend and daughter die. And it was gross to me. One, I've always told my children, you be you. Yes, I appreciate that you love me and that you love your father and you love this and you love that, but you be you. Who they are is the improved version of who we were to create them. A healthier, more potent. I want them to be them. And that was always dear to my heart. So the thought of looking at a stranger and wishing to be that stranger was foreign and misplaced and not remotely connected to who or what I am. Saying that after I had went through an experience that would obviously run in your mind on repeat until PTSD is a thing, people. When I get in a near accident, my body triggers. I'm working ways of getting it out of my system, but to know the trauma that I went through and to speak that and say that and have a belief of that, gross. It made me think of the person who in my past mimicked my dress and hairstyle while spreading lies and rumors. You can envy, jealousy, greed, and hate. If you boil it down, that's someone that's in an injured state and is projecting to another. Well, this person is a that. And because of those projections, she didn't actually get me, or get time with me, or get interaction, or get any of the things that I actually have to offer. Time with me would help her highlight who she is within herself. She missed out on that. But what I learned from the lesson was that people can say things, speak things, and that doesn't change who you are in God's eyes. Who you are to your ancestors, who you are to the universe, isn't altered by what people say. It can be altered by how you feel. Dark Waters comment about you can lower your standards. The appreciation I felt for his honesty highlighted the unimpressed emotionality that I have for people who wish to see me upset or cry or stressed or not grow, or wish to see me in a not worthy of me environmental place. People who attempt to lower your self-esteem, it's because they're challenged. It's not you, and it's not really about you. They see things that inspire them, and if they feel a lack within themselves, they don't know how to articulate that. Watching Kate inspires me. And it would be easy to say, well, she's gotta, and she this, and she that, and I'm not a. Actually, it wouldn't be easy because I don't do that. But it's when you see success, celebrating it, seeing her succeed, watching her work ethic in play and at place, and seeing how it helps others. Inspiration, inspiration, inspiration. No part of me wants to take away from what she's doing. That also lets me know that I've got a healthy professional outlook. I love to encourage. I like to uplift. I love to share. There is a lady named Abby Normal, and I will constantly and most likely, hopefully always, share what she puts out. The psychic healing she does is real. It's authentic. The way that she channels and how she moves in and out of energy with awareness will teach and helps teach everybody, I believe, to have psychic connection and ability. Our hearts are aware. Our brain can put up a shitstorm of confusion. And then your emotions and low self-esteem can hold you in that space. That is a Eight of Swords energy that's icky. No one wants to be there. I wouldn't wish that on, well, I don't have enemies. I have people that might wish to partake that direction. It doesn't work well for them, their reality, or themselves. I love you. And that's an isness. Loving you, I'll celebrate your successes, your accomplishments, your goals, your dreams, your desires. That the ways that I haven't succeeded, watching you succeed helps me succeed. So thank you. It feels like my success because it's your success. That's me. All right. Wow. This is an hour and 13 minutes and 44 seconds. Let's start the light language. Put your feet on the floor. We're going to bring energy up from Gaia. And we're going to give a forehead kiss from our ancestors. Hold on, let me pull a card. Gaia, ancestors. $17 breaks down to an 8. 1. All right. On top of the deck, authenticity. Bottom of the deck, time. Hello, Saturn. All right. Bring that energy up from Gaia. Supports, structures, nourishes, enriches, strengthens. Allow your ancestors to kiss you on the forehead. Receive their blessings, their accolades, their encouragement. Niasutariata kashisotaira moya tariata kriya sayo moya tario todrebetariata kuisha sanaya tariakuya. Niasuya taria sakuria tarisha sataria poya tariata tarisa tariakuya. Niasa ta tuya ta poya taria sasha sataya. Niasasha suya taria takurka baya sasha sataria kisha sania tariakuya. Niatuya tarapua taria sasha satuya taria satataria shasa. Kwaya no moya taria satakuya na yasa. And disperse. I almost started doing toning for the third eye. Toning works stronger for me if I'm physically standing. But that impulse, I will do some toning, and there will be a video in the future for that. Okay, random card for the light language, and then let's wrap this up. Coherence, 13. Coherence. Take care, be well.